Hi guys, welcome back to another Matchbox Garage video, where today we have something a little bit different, a little bit special, and something that take a lot of time. This is a small die-cast Lambretta, a Britain's Lambretta 9865, and this is a commission, and it comes from a chap called Howard, who approached me on my Facebook page and said, "Rob, I've got this little scooter, do you fancy restoring it?" And I said, sure, I've never done one before. What I didn't really consider or even think about is that this was so much hard work. I had probably, I would say, 12 to 15 hours into this little thing. Hey, I enjoyed it, and I'd love to do another one, but maybe not so soon. But yeah, this one turned out pretty special. At least I love it. And of course, I'm hoping that Howard does too. But yeah, this is the little thing. Just to read you the letter. So, dear Robert, further to our exchanges via Messenger, please find enclosed one small and rather sad-looking Lambretta scooter. I am not a mod, but have in my time owned over 100 full-size motorcycles and scooters from Harleys to Vespa. Sadly, injury and serious illness has taken its toll, and my riding days are behind me. I've also owned quite a few reasonable cars, such as the 1965 Xena Vogue that I shared with my dad, and we did every NU or RAC road rally over a 2-decade period in that beauty. Anyway, please enjoy this little project, and I very much look forward to seeing the process and the results. I'm leaving colours, details, in fact everything to your imagination. You have carte blanche. With kindest regards, Howard. Yeah, so as I pick up this little scooter here, I'm wondering, where do I start? What I do see is some lovely detail. Of course, in that front end there, where there would have been a headlight, but I'm starting to see a little bit of perhaps damage, or see with that stand there, we're missing a part of that on the end there. Bit of blue tack just holding it up. Of course, that won't do going forward. And then I started to see some extra bits that I never considered before. I don't do any research before taking on a commission. I get it and then we figure it out. But seeing that there's holes in the side of this, thinking, right, okay, there should have been engine covers here, and some, of course, seats for the rider. But yeah, taking these wheels out are going to be good fun. And yeah, there's a lot of minute detail. But what I wanted to first do, before I actually took off the paint, because I wanted, even though it's very thin, I wanted the thickness of the paint to be there, so that once I, take the paint off and repaint it, this will go on the same. But I use this epoxy putty. It's an Alteco, just a 50-50 mix, and there is way too much there. Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, see, to be honest, I've done this over quite a long period of time. I used oil for some reason, I think just to try and get a easy release off of the casting here. And yeah, I've used way too much of this putty. And I would say, if you ever need to use putty, consider how much you want, half it again, and then probably half it again. Yeah. You only need to use such a small amount, and you can see, all the putty that I've chopped away here, and then I think I've got where I need to be or want to be with these engine covers. Bearing in mind, of course, they're not going to be the same as the original. They're not going to be perfect, but hey, they're going to do pretty well. Of course, I want to make these removable, so that they kind of push in and stay on, for display, or you can just kind of flick them off as well, or for display. But yeah, looking further on this casting, I'm thinking, how am I going to get these wheels off without damaging? Then, how am I going to get the kind of handlebars and the stand here, to remove these if this thing is glued together? You know, it seemed like it was, you know, glued shut. But yeah, I'm gonna bash through. I've got this little sand, a jeweler's sand cushion, I think they call it. So something for this will be perfect. Mould it to where I need it to go, and then try very safely and without trying to damage pull out these axles, and of course was able to do it. And this was again where I found out the brand, because on the casting itself there is no branding, but on these wheels you may just about see that it does read Britain's. The casting was made somewhere between 1965 and 1970, so yeah, this is over 50 years old. So I'm not surprised, you know, that it's lost kind of parts and broken parts, and but you know, lovely little design, good quality, which I'll try to improve on. But yeah, the main thing here was really getting this thing apart, and that was going to be the game changer, because for me to just try and restore it as it was, of course I could do it, but if I could just get it apart, and I'll be able to really clean it up and really detail it. But she gets the same caustic soda method. And you can already see that water is kind of instantly turned milky, and you may even see as I swish it around the bare casting. This was a very quick, just probably 30-second jobby. But I did leave it for, you know, let the kind of water cool off and clean up the wheels. And now that they're clean, free of grime, I was really trying to check to see whether it was more obvious, the Britain's writing on camera. Much more obvious, of course, in person. Yeah, we've got a 100% paint removal, I think, or a little bit of paint, probably just hanging on. The blue tack survived the caustic soda treatment. I say survived, it kind of lost its elasticity. But yeah, the Dremel, of course, making easy work to remove the remainder of that blue tack, plus polish up this casting. Yeah, Howard, I must admit, has been very patient with me, as all commission work, and I've got a list of commission jobs that I kind of will get to shortly. But yeah, this one's taken a little bit longer than I'd hoped, a little bit longer than I ever imagined. I think where I was using the the putty, it needed to kind of have like 24 hours to really cure. I would say those side bits probably almost took a week to fully cure. But yeah, once I was looking up the rear end of this thing, and I thought, if I just jam this right in the back, maybe I can pull this apart. And the excitement that I felt at this stage was, I don't know, it's unnatural, I think. But yeah, pulling this thing apart, that really did make me happy. The fact that I can now properly clean this up, grind it down, smooth it all out, figure it out as well. You know, if I could figure out how it come apart to how it goes back together, you know, I feel like I can again do a better job. But yeah, look at the detail in those front forks there, just wonderful. And now that I've got the little stand out, I feel I can properly actually fix this. And yes, I could have, I guess, glued or, you know, something, using something to attach it to the end there, but I just don't think it will be strong enough. So I think the best thing to do is to actually take the whole thing off and then put the full rod there, and that way there's more contact for a stronger bond. But yeah, I'm also now kind of looking at this thing thinking needs something else on the front as well. So the epoxy putty I wanted to use for a third time after the side panels and seats, something on the front there. I think it was only really at this point that I started to try and research this Lambretta to see what it could have or should have looked like as a standard toy. I was really trying to go off of a real Lambretta rather than the Britain's version of it. But yeah, I come up with the epoxy seats here, and then trying to figure out how to cover up this hole in the front. So now you got all three sections, so both the sides, the seats, and that front piece as well, all in epoxy resin. And like I say, I'm doing one bit at a time in between each, and a little time passes by. You know, whilst we're in this lockdown, other things not necessarily taking priority, but I've just been doing little bits here and there in between each little job. As you can see, I've been kind of doing an hour here, half an hour there, and then slowly but surely I've been tackling this thing. But yeah, you should start to see really that there's some holes filled in. It's a little bit smoother in places. A lot of the casting lines have been taken out. I have hours into this, just rubbing it down. This was a kind of a poor casting line and started to mould. That basically this piece here, it just wasn't going to work. So I shall gently put that to one side. But yeah, no, as I took it apart, it kind of broke in places. It just didn't look good. So yeah, we do away with that. I come up with a different solution though. This side, as you can see, still with the holes filled in, and yeah, the underside a lot of treatment. But you can see here now that I have attached on one side, and as you can see, when I put them together, it looks pretty good. That's kind of ultimately what I was trying to aim for with the epoxy resin. It just didn't come out very well, but we've gone with just metal this time. The side panels here, just rub them down a bit and put a coat of black on it. I didn't know what colour I was going to paint at this stage. Howard had given me carte blanche. I was thinking, do I paint them black? Do I paint them white? This is just in primer. But yeah, I change up the colour. Albeit these seats here, they are basically in the final black there. looking like the leather or leatherette seats that they would have been. Once the thickness of the paint has been applied, these are a good fit, and don't fall off like this. But yeah, at this stage I don't know which one went on which or which way around. But what I'm going to do after a little further rubbing down, and I think what I was doing was I was rubbing it down, you know, whilst the sides were separate, and I gave it another rub down whilst the sides were together, just to make sure that everything was, I guess, smooth and symmetrical with each other. And I gave it a coat of white primer. There's no easy way to hold this whilst painting, so it doesn't suit to paint it on camera. But just to give you a little sample, I chose a light blue. But yeah, as you can see, this is very difficult to paint. Trying to look through the lens of a camera, so you know, I'll do the rest whilst concentrating. But it's the following day, and it's all now painted in blue. It's also got a little clear coat over it. Starting to put the things back together. You've got the seats now in place. There's a little Diamante kind of headlight there. I didn't go with that in the end. But yeah, starting to detail out the grips there. And I'm going to do the rest of it off camera. But as a little reminder of what she looked like. This is the result. This is the result of somewhere between 12 and 15 hours of very tiny little work, and I think it's great, and I hope you do too. As you can see, coming around the back here, just that little bit of red in that rear light. Of course, the wheels have gone back in using the original axles, and I've just detailed the end of the axle with a little bit of chrome. We've gone with white sides and also that white little piece on the front. And I thought, you know, otherwise it would have looked quite basic or a little bit plain, so I've added some like checkered flag. I was looking at some of the mod styling, and you can see the little kind of mod symbol on the front as well. But nice bit of detail around the front there. That headlight and those kind of brake levers. Yeah, I can breathe again. This one was a tough one, but I have enjoyed it. But anyway, thanks to my patrons, including very brand new patron BZ or BZ. Thanks a lot, mate. And yeah, I hope you like this one. Howard, you especially, sir. Yeah, this one has been really interesting to do, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. I'm not going to rush to do another one, I must admit, but certainly in the future, you know, something similar will be quite interesting. But here's just the last couple of shots with the panels off. You can see a little bit of chrome detailing on the engine there. But anyway, thanks guys. See you all soon.